Welcome back. Last night, President Barack Obama and Governor Mitt Romney squared off in their first presidential debate.
One of the topics addressed the economy. It's what many believe is the biggest issue in this year's campaign. Louisiana economist Pete Goff Jr., who is the author of the book Solving America's Financial Crisis, was one of the tens of millions of people who tuned in last night to watch the debates.
Goff joins us live this morning from Baton Rouge to give us his take on what was said. Mr. Goff, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, Julie. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, let me ask you, so do you think there was a clear winner in last night's debate between the two on the economy?
Actually, I do. I think that Mitt Romney came out and did something that not too many people were used to. He was very personable. He came across extremely knowledgeable of this topic, especially regarding the economy, what he's done with his health insurance plan in Massachusetts, and basically across the board, he was very well prepared and very knowledgeable about some existing problems that we have with the economy.
And Mr. Goff, what would you say is the best way to get America back on track according to improving the economy?
Well, I think there's several things that matter right now. When you look at the average household, they're paying more than $800 a month to rent their housing right now as opposed to actually owning it. One of the things, probably the only thing of the stimulus package that worked was actually the home buyer tax credit. And there's nothing that could be better now than combine that tax credit, which would do everything you can to move houses that are out there. In addition, any house that's built creates about three jobs for a year, all of the industries that spin off of that. And on top of that, it generates $90,000 in taxes on average across federal and state and local issues, which more than makes up for the cost of that credit. There's, several other things that can be going into it, but that's the main thing that we're looking at right now. What can we do to the average person? And housing is the biggest expense, and it's also the biggest asset of any household out there.
People would say, during the debate, it looked like Romney took an aggressive stance attacking President Obama on a number of issues. Do you think that strategy worked for him?
I think more than anything else, his aggressive stance showed that he was knowledgeable of the subject. Anytime you're getting aggressive, you got to be worried about coming across as a little bit too rude. And I think he really tempered that well with his knowledge, because he wants to state that his position is different from that of the president. And I think he did a really good job of stating several things that separate him from the president, that he definitely prefers small government to big government. He prefers where we have a situation where we'd have oil drilling to less oil drilling. And anytime you look at a situation where you have a clear cut, I think that's very rare out there for presidential candidates. And when you look at his whole concept, everything that he's doing is about what can we do to create jobs. His knowledge of lowering the tax rates, his knowledge of having, been a successful businessman, I think he put that on display last night.
Mr. Goff, we certainly appreciate you joining us and giving us your take on the debate last night. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
And welcome back, everybody. Joining me now is Louisiana economist Pete Goff Jr. He joins us live from Baton Rouge this morning to give us his take on what was said in last night's presidential debate. And Pete, certainly a great pleasure to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you very much, Rick. Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
All right. What's your take on this? A lot of folks are saying Romney takes round one of this, and what do you think?
I don't think there's any question that Mitt Romney took round one. He was very forceful in his opinions. He very much had his knowledge of the economy, his knowledge of the business world, and he was on top of his game without a doubt. I think we saw a Mitt Romney that none of us were used to. He came out very, very appealing in the sense that he was smiling, he was looking his opponent in the eye, he was looking his camera in the eye. The man was totally prepared for this debate.
All right, and speaking of the economy, that is certainly one of the main issues out there. And what do we have to do to kind of get this economy to bounce back? And I know, at least personally, I'm seeing some improvement out there, but still, I know a whole lot more can be done.
I think the main improvement that you're seeing is really to the stock market and the people that were able to get recapitalized by the government with the loans and the bailouts. for the average person, the biggest source of wealth is your personal home. Right now, we have too many people that are renting. They're paying on average $800 a month more than if they've owned their home. And the one part of the stimulus package that worked was actually the taxpayer credit. And if we could go back to having somebody with the home buyers that allowed them to get the credit, they could get back into houses. You've got all-time low interest rates, and you've got people paying way too much for rent right now. So to hit the direct person, the average person, your biggest source of wealth is simply your home. And when you can't buy a home because the mortgage is too difficult to qualify for, it impacts the entire economy.
All right, and you are author of the book, Solving America's Financial Crisis. What are some of the highlights that you feature in this book? Because when you talk the economy, you're talking kind of a broad, general topic, typically.
There's no question that the book is a broad topic because the whole economy is out there. Biggest thing that we talk about is what caused the financial crisis. And throughout the book, we point out it was the mixing of commercial banking, which is very conservative stuff, with investment banking, which is risky investments. One of the things that was talked about last night was Romney said he would repeal the Dodd-Frank Act that was meant to correct those abuses. And without question, it needs to be repealed because it's allowing the 5 biggest banks to control over 50% of all the assets. The book is a history of commercial banking, investment banking, what made them successful, and also what caused our problems. But more than anything else, it's an explanation of things we need to do to fix those problems.
And Pete, what would you say is the most important thing that can be done to kind of stimulate this economy out there? And you're talking, what, from 2008, that's when we really felt the true impact of this. And here we are 4 years later, and folks are still feeling the impact of this. And what is the most important thing that can kind of stimulate this economy?
The biggest thing above all is obviously to create jobs. Jobs, the main creative jobs, are definitely small business. And when you have small business basically unable to lend or borrow money from the banks and have the banks lend to the small business and to the communities, you've got a real problem with the overall economy. All the money went to the big companies, and that's why you see the stock market up, but you don't see the average person getting any kind of resolve right now. There's no help to the average person. Thing pointed out in the debate last night was the Dodd-Frank talked about qualified mortgages, but they didn't define qualified mortgage. Well, if you don't know what it is as a lender and you're subject to fines and penalties, as a result, you just don't make the loans. You've got all-time low interest rates, but yet you don't have any loans being made.
Yeah, Pete, I hate to cut you off. We have to go. Thanks for your time this morning. And there you have Pete Goff Jr. Talking all about the economy, and we'll be right back after this. Keep it here.